When this man inherited an old worn-down cabin from his grandfather, he was laughed at immensely. His siblings all got plenty of worth when the old man died, so naturally they made fun of the man and his wooden shack. But then he looked inside and got the last laugh. Before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. The moment Andrew's grandfather passed away marked a sad turning point in his life. He had always been very close with the old man and mourned his passing deeply. His relatives, on the other hand, never paid much attention to the man and only seemed interested in their inheritance afterwards. Because of this, Andrew was not surprised to see his entire family already sitting in the notary's office when he got there himself. Andrew's grandfather was a very rich man, and his father, mother, brother, and sister were all too eager to get what was owed to them, but they wouldn't get the last laugh. The old man had left all of them a long list of assets, and it was Andrew's family who heard their inheritance first. His father and mother both received $500,000. His brother got the vacation home that was worth about the same, and his sister got $100,000 and both family cars. And now it was Andrew's turn. What would his grandfather gift him after his demise? The notary looked at the humble young man with a serious face and said that the old man had something special planned for him. He reached into his desk drawer and pulled out a faded old envelope. Once the envelope was opened, all people who attended leaned in, expecting a large sum of money. But what Andrew got was something totally unexpected. In this envelope, I leave you the old fishing cabin and the deeds to the small lake area surrounding it, the notary read out loud. Mocking laughter filled the room after that. The old fishing cabin was hardly worth anything, and the surrounding area, even though pretty, wasn't worth investing in at all. "You've got robbed, little brother," his sister said, grinning. Andrew wanted to argue with his smirky sister, but in his heart he knew she was right. He visited the lakeside cabin many times before with his granddad, and besides some fishing gear and a leaking rooftop, there was nothing really there that was special. He walked to his car in disappointment. It was not like he wanted tons of money. Arriving at the property, he saw the scene he was expecting, a dilapidated building with broken windows. The sight of the worn-down cabin brought back memories for Andrew. He remembered when he was just a young boy, fishing with his grandpa on the banks of the lake. Those fishing days were amazing. With a sad look on his face, Andrew walked up to the cabin. He grabbed the doorknob and turned it counterclockwise. With a loud creak, the door opened up and revealed the cabin's inside. Its guts were even more saddening than the outside, just some fishing gear and the smell of rotting wood. Walking around in the place opened up his mind for questioning. He questioned why his grandfather would offer him this. He understood very well that it held some sentiment, but it wasn't like he ever said he loved the place. "Tell me what you want from me, Grandpa. Tell me what to do." As you might expect, the cabin remained silent, and his grandfather didn't come swooping in with wise words. Andrew got frustrated after a while and even contemplated tearing the entire cabin down. The wooden building itself was worthless, but maybe he could do something with the ground the cabin stood on. The confused and frustrated grandson walked around the cabin multiple times, surveilling the land and weighing out his options. Yes, this area is beautiful. Maybe a small hotel or bed and breakfast could be built here over time. But where would I get the funding? Ideas formed in his head. But then he snapped out of it. Andrew refused to believe that his grandfather left him this place for no reason. Demolishing it would be a stain on his legacy. "There must be something special about this cabin that I'm not seeing," Andrew said out loud. The curious man walked back inside after that. That's when he noticed something strange. Shortly after re-entering the cabin, Andrew made an amazing discovery inside, one that would make him feel even more connected to his grandfather than ever before. He finally understood now. Andrew was over the moon with his unique inheritance, and the next day his relatives would find out why. Seeing the newfound smile on their brother's face made his siblings want to mock him even more. They threw everything they had at him, but it didn't matter. All foul words bounced off Andrew like it was nothing. This was clearly not the same man they saw a few days prior. Andrew was extremely happy now. His brother and sister didn't understand what was going on, and even his parents, who refused to take part in this mockery, looked at their son with wondering eyes. "What is it you saw at that cabin, Andrew? Tell us," they demanded. But Andrew just smiled again and refused their request. After his denial, the family started doing what they did best, pushing his buttons until he eventually would give in. Every chance they got, they would bring up the cabin, but Andrew just smiled as he poured them tea. The ball was in his court now, and he loved to see them squabble. At the end of their visit, his family looked exhausted. His father and mother gave up halfway through, but both his brother and sister were persistent until the end. Eventually, Andrew said that they didn't deserve to know the cabin's secret. They never looked after or cared for Grandpa, but then something happened. The smirky tone of Andrew's family started to change all of a sudden. The house that was once filled with foul words and mockery had now turned quiet all of a sudden. Andrew saw his brother and sister looking at him with desperate eyes, begging him to show them what he found. It was a sight he had not seen before. He wanted to let them to sit in their own jealousy for a while, but this change persuaded him to be a kind brother and son. He told his family that he would show them what he found, but they had to keep it a secret. Hearing Andrew say those words made his relatives completely confused. So there was something hidden out there in that cabin. They agreed instantly and couldn't wait to visit the place. Andrew could only smile because his family still had no idea what kind of crazy situation would unfold at that cabin. Andrew told his family that if they wanted, they could leave right now. The cabin was only about an hour's drive from here, and there were plenty of hours left in the day. "What are you waiting for? Grab your gear and meet me outside. It's time to go," Andrew said, smiling. After 5 minutes, Andrew waited by his dirty dune buggy for his family to join him, and that's when he saw the obnoxious side of his family once more. His sister arrived in one of the family's red, shiny sports cars, and his brother wore the most lavish coat he ever saw in his life. All their wealth and posh things were given to them, stuff bought because of Grandpa's hard work. It was infuriating. But they would soon be put down a peg, Andrew thought to himself. In contrast to his family, Andrew looked plain, but he still had that unwavering smile on his face. They all arrived at the lake cabin together. Andrew parked his car closest, and his siblings parked their revoltingly expensive cars close behind him. Andrew's sister immediately stepped in some feces of unknown origin, and that amused him. But when they looked at the cabin, they said what Andrew had expected. "Is this it?" Looking at their disappointed faces was just an appetizer for Andrew's payback. The main course was waiting for them inside. "Don't worry, you will see soon enough," Andrew proclaimed. They walked around the building a couple of times, adding tension to the moment just as he planned. His sister was the first to break, followed by his brother and parents. "Come on, what's the big secret?" Andrew could hardly hold in his laughter, but as amusing as it was, the time for delay was over. It was time to go inside. They stood before the old cabin. "Are all of you ready to witness something extraordinary?" Andrew asked. In silence, they nodded. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a rusty old key, and turned it slowly in the lock. The wooden door creaked open, revealing a dim, musty interior. Andrew stepped aside and let his family enter first, eager to see their reactions. They looked around in confusion. All they saw were his grandfather's old fishing gear, a rickety table, and a small rug. "Just an empty cabin," someone muttered. Andrew smiled. That's what I thought too. But look carefully. There's more here than meets the eye." He began walking across the floor, stomping with each step. The sound was the same everywhere until he reached the corner where the rug lay. The hollow echo beneath his boots made everyone freeze. Andrew's smile widened. His brother crouched down, rolled up the rug, and revealed a large wooden hatch with a handle. They all stared in disbelief. "What's down there?" his sister asked. Andrew simply said, "Something like that," as he unzipped his backpack and pulled out 4 flashlights. He'd come prepared. He handed them out and watched as his family descended the narrow ladder into darkness. The air was thick and old. The smell of dust and age filled the underground space, but when their lights illuminated the room below, every single one of them gasped. The space stretched far and wide, at least 10 times the size of the cabin above. Strong concrete walls surrounded them, lined with shelves and glass cases filled with objects of immense historical value. Andrew's grandfather had been a famous collector and trader of ancient artifacts. His entire fortune, which supported the family for years, had come from this passion, and now all his life's work was hidden right here, preserved beneath the cabin. Among the treasures were Cleopatra's staff, the sword of Alexander the Great, and even a fragment of a robe said to belong to Jesus Christ himself. Andrew felt his eyes sting with emotion. He'd always shared his grandfather's love for history, but his family saw only money. "There must be millions here," his brother whispered. Greed filled their faces as they turned to Andrew. "What are you going to do with all this?" He knew this was coming. That was why he had hesitated to bring them. They wouldn't understand. "I'm not selling anything," he said calmly. His family looked at him as if he'd lost his mind. But Andrew had already decided what to do. He would turn the hidden trove into a museum, a tribute to his grandfather's life and passion. Within half a year, he had built a small yet breathtaking museum next to the cabin, its glass walls blending with the forest around it. The old cabin itself remained untouched, rotting, silent, smelling of fish and thyme just as his grandfather had left it. The museum never attracted crowds. That wasn't the point. Andrew allowed only a few true enthusiasts to visit by appointment so they could appreciate his grandfather's legacy in peace. And often, Andrew could be found sitting on a folding chair in front of that weathered wooden cabin, watching the wind ripple through the trees. Because it belonged to his grandpa,